thanks for having me. I wanted to just reiterate. So by the way, I'm Evan Huck. I'm the CEO and founder of UserEvidence. I think this is my fourth time or third, whatever the consensus is. I've done all of them. Generally, that's a bad thing in dating if you keep coming back to speed dating, but I think we're good in this case. But yeah, it's been awesome to watch the customer marketing space grow and watch several vendors, including us, raise venture money. I think that's a good indicator that companies are starting to place the appropriate investment in customer marketing and customer advocacy, and having 16 vendors today is certainly indicative of that. But I also love the format today where we're actually bringing customers to tell our story. It'd be kind of ironic if we couldn't. So we're super excited today, and I'll introduce our customer in a second. Lastly, I have an Easter egg kind of fun fact on why I got selected or volunteered to go first. Has to do with handling pressure and technical difficulties, but I'll save that for later. So, all right. So yeah, UserEvidence, for folks that don't know, we're a Series A company. We're about 30 people based out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And our customers, just to give you a sense, are all B2B technology companies that have a decent sized customer base. So our customers include HP Enterprise, Gong, Coupa, Splunk, Pendo, SolarWinds. So lots of IT and infrastructure and enterprise software. Anyone that sells something expensive in a high consideration space where you need references and case studies and evidence and proof points to prove the value of your product so that people will buy your expensive thing versus someone else's. If you're a customer marketer, you've probably experienced this challenge, and why it's hard and why people need our help is that it's difficult to get customers to go on the record, and our customer is going to talk about that challenge. And even when people are willing, it's just a painful process to interview them and get legal and PR approvals to publish it, and then have designers turn it into usable content. So go-to-market teams always have a shortage of customer proof, which might sound like we're missing stories in a certain industry, or we need more quantitative evidence and statistics to back up claims around time savings or cost savings. Or we need more competitive evidence. And so that's really the problem that we're solving. And ultimately what UserEvidence is a platform that helps B2B vendors capture and then create a huge library of customer evidence and customer success stories at scale that they can use to really prove or demonstrate that they're delivering on the value that they promise. But our motto is that we turn happy customers into your best sellers. So I'm super excited today to welcome one of our awesome customers, Courtney Struthers, who's the Senior Director of Customer Marketing and Advocacy at Expel, a vendor in the security space, which has some interesting complications. But I'll let Courtney introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. And Evan and the Captivate team, thanks so much for having me here. I could talk about this all day. I know we have limited time today, but I'm excited to share what we've been doing and why it's so important to our company that we're doing this. And also on that last bullet, really driven for me personally by what's in it for the customer. And that is, I think, one of the reasons that UserEvidence resonates with me so much is because there is so much value to our end customers, not just to us as the company. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Courtney, do you want to talk a little bit about just, the challenges, especially in the security space that you have in terms of trying to get customers to go on the record and tell their stories and create content and evidence and proof points from them?
I can, yes. So I've never had a marketing job where someone said, you know what, hold off on the customer evidence. We have too much of it. There is always a demand, whether it's from your analyst relations team, whether it's from the PR team, the customer success team. We actually did some work with our customer success team too. The marketing teams that are actually sending campaigns out to market, the customer marketing campaigns who are talking to customers. All of those teams need those proof points, and trying to do it manually one-on-one and identify who are our advocates. You can do it, right? It's not going to scale quickly. And then we need to give customers an easy way for them to engage with us and for us to have an idea of what's going to be important to them. And then we can go back with a very customized ask. So yes. Exactly. And so a lot of our customers, as you can imagine in security, are very hesitant about going on the record. And but they also want to see those proof points. So
yeah, it's kind of ironic, right? A big bank like JP Morgan would say, hey, give me 3 other examples of large banks that you have, but then you go out to one of your customers and they say, well, of course we don't want to talk about our security infrastructure. So it's this catch-22. But yeah, if it's still needed, right? If you sell expensive, high consideration stuff, at some point someone's going to ask, yeah, I need to know that this works for someone in my industry, and I need to know that it's going to deliver ROI. And obviously that's hard to do. So yeah, that problem totally makes sense. So what did we do? How did we meet? And how did we get started?
Okay, well, we got started really quickly after we signed with you. So we've done 2 surveys 6 months apart to the whole user base. And the first one we did, we asked our customers, how are you measuring the value of what we offered you? And I'll tell you why we did that. We didn't know. We had a lot of anecdotal information. We had a lot of disparate information, but we needed to understand how customers were measuring the value in their own words. And they also wanted to know, by the way. They came back to us and said, I'm glad you asked those questions because I was curious how everyone else was doing it. So what we've done for those 2 surveys is that we're able to substantiate some really important claims to be able to go back to our customers and say, hey, here's what, thank you. And this is actually our live webpage. So really important to share here. So we've done that, and we have, I want to say, over 80. Evan, it grows every day. We're always finding new nuggets that we publish, but we're at over 80 proof points in our public research library. And as you can see here, yep, exactly. We're putting them everywhere. And I think that there's another slide that talks about where we were actually putting them, but I mean, that's a big one. Yep.
Yeah, so you've talk about that a little bit. So one part about UserEvidence is creating all this good content, and oftentimes we're working with product marketing teams and customer marketing teams to accomplish that. But then the next step is it can't just sit there in a library. It's got to be actively put out in front of prospects' eyeballs somehow, and that typically happens through the functions that actually own the channels through which this content gets distributed. Right, the sales team, the demand gen team, social and web, analyst relations in this example. So yeah, talk a little bit about the outlets for this kind of evidence and proof.
Yeah, it's been a really good partnership with our teams, where when we get the data back, we go and share it with all those teams, and we curate it a little bit for them and say, I think this is what is going to be most relevant to you, AR team, PR team, web team. And then it is a partnership, and they actually help us curate as well. So it's been a great process, and there has been a lot of demand for using these in as many places as possible. And I tell you, we have it everywhere, but we're continuing to use it. And one thing I heard, I think I shared this with you, I heard from our partner team just last week. They're like, hey, have you seen this really cool research library that we have where you can filter by industry? And there's so many proof points in there. I'm like, I have seen it. I have. It came from our team. So we're seeing it being used all over the place. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And obviously, it's somewhat early in the relationship, but talk about just the measurable impact so far, or how it's been successful.
6 weeks. We had 50 validated proof points. That's a big deal. We didn't have any before. We had a lot of case studies, but not these really concrete metrics. And then 119 hand raisers from 84 companies. That's over 20% of our base. There were a lot of people we didn't know about. There were some friendly faces, but this is how you find out about those customers that maybe you don't know about. So that was really a big deal from us. And I will say, we were able to create a piece of content for our customers that we would not have been able to do without their feedback. Cool. To say, hey, this is what was important to me from onboarding. I know you have it from your perspective. Tell us what to do. But also, we created a piece of customer generated content that has resonated very well. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again for giving us an opportunity, and you've done a great job, harnessing the voice of this, incredibly happy customer base to create content. This seems insanely short, but I'm going to get to my last slide, which is also has the Easter egg that I was talking about. So this is one of our new features, our new hot looks, new outfits, if you will, that is sales enablement oriented. And it's designed when you have this huge library of assets for salespeople to find great stories from customers. And so this will take a while because we haven't put compute power behind it, but this is actually Gong's instance. So if a sales rep wanted to find stories from people that switched from their main competitor Chorus, they could search for that, and then AI will actually help them kind of deliver the exact perfect stories. The fun fact while this loads is that I was a DJ, and so that's why I'm comfortable with technical difficulties, because that stuff happens all the time. Actually DJ'd Coachella one time, fun fact. And if we go back, you can see the AI has now delivered a bunch of relevant testimonials from people that have switched from Chorus to Gong. So this is one of our new features that even Courtney doesn't have yet. It's in beta, but we're excited about it.
I'm excited, and I love that you're always innovating. It's a big deal for us. So
Indeed.
Thank you for that.
Do I have any time left? I'm probably done, right? The last thing, if no one's cutting me off, the last thing we're doing that's pretty interesting for people that are paying Forrester for like total economic impact reports, we have a new solution around that for ROI studies. So thank you all for having me. Courtney, again, appreciate it so much. We love working with you. So
likewise.